I think with us, we really sold the why behind the process. We had a lot of fear in our organization from from people who had worked at past companies where they tried to roll something out like this and it failed, or it, kind of faded away. And that was one thing our CEO really wanted to avoid. So that's why the rollout process was so long. So we sold them on, where this is going to take us. This is going to take us to the next level as a company. This is going to break down silos between departments. This will help us make sure all of our priorities are aligned together. And showing them what it meant for their specific role and how it would help them in their day-to-day, I think really got the team behind it.
It also gives them a voice. It gives your management team in particular a real voice in the organization on how to grow it. So when you're doing your strategy sessions on your quarterly basis, their voice is in the mix. And when you're doing the daily huddles, everybody, all your team leaders are in that meeting knowing what other people are going through or need help on. And it really helps them. So it doesn't come easy. We've had some partners over the years in different businesses that didn't necessarily buy in, but you've got to stick to it. And once you do, the more they'll see the results relatively quick.
That to me is the number one thing, is when you take all levels of the organization and you flatten it out and everybody has a chance for input, if that's what everybody agrees on, don't you leave this planning session and then start back talking, well, that's not what I wanted. That's what the team decided. Right. And it's funny, people who don't want to be on a part of the team, they'll graciously excuse themselves, not because of anything that was said. They realize that team's going places and I need to get behind it or get off the train.
We had some of the naysayers from the very beginning. We were very transparent in saying that this is not a one-time meeting that we're going to walk away from and that we're not going to continue this from day to day, week to week, month to month. This is something that we're going to do, and we're going to do it over the next 12 months. We've been following up with people throughout this process, and some of the feedback I think I've shared with Andy. We had a meeting recently after a huddle, and I just asked people, I said, I want you to open up. Tell me what you really think about Rockefeller Habits and what we're doing. And our company was struggling with culture. Some of you have heard about Jack Daly. He talks about, do you have a culture by design or do you have a culture by default? We had one by default. We had a lot of growth, a lot of new people join our team, and we were struggling. They have since told me, because I just didn't know what they thought. It was for us a non-negotiable. We are going to do this. And I've been told by multiple people, this is the single most important thing that you've done for your company since I've worked here over the last 8 years.
Trying to implement, what Andy's brought to us company-wide for us has been a little bit of a struggle because, people who were setting goals from a production standpoint or from an efficiency standpoint, they can sit in the meeting and be a part of that. We have people that work out in our warehouse that don't speak English, and so that's been a struggle, trying to get them involved in what we're doing, in the planning, in our culture, in our themes, in our mission statement. It took us a while to kind of boil that down. I've got people who work for me who can't speak English, but the only words they do know are four core values and our mission statement. And you can walk up to them on the street and they'll tell it to you.
One thing that we did that I, looking back, wish we wouldn't have done, and Andy told us not to do this. We did it. After getting our leadership team behind everything, we thought, okay, we'll take this slow and we'll roll it out to our departments one at a time. So we started with the marketing team because it was small and thought we could get them behind it, and then went on and on until our biggest department at the end. And what it created was just a bunch of confusion, a lot of mystery that really didn't need to be there. We thought that it would be too overwhelming to roll it out to the rest of the team all at once. But looking back, I think that would have helped get everyone on board from the get-go instead of just confusion.
It's not about the destination. When you begin this, you finally realize the exciting part is I'm always on a journey towards my destination, and how I'll change and how it's going to change. How it's going to change me. It's going to change the company. It's going to change the way we serve our clients or customers. It's exciting. Just don't think you've ever arrived. Just enjoy the journey.
I was going to circle back on something Joe said, talking about the energy. We did not do this at first, and when we did start the huddle, it was awkward. And then beyond that, now we've introduced, at Andy's recommendation, music. So the first person to the huddle gets to choose the song. It's got to be a high energy. And I can hear it down the hall. I mean, it's blaring. It's Could be rap, could be 80s rock. They get to choose what it is. But it's the energy that gets us going. Ours is at 10:55 every single day. And in some ways, it's the thing I look forward to the absolute most. And then yet sometimes for me, it's the thing I'm dreading because I know they're going to be looking at my KPIs and I got to tell them I'm at red, I'm at yellow, I'm at green, I'm at 0%, I'm at 10%. And they're holding me accountable to them. So I got to be prepared.
What's funny, when we started doing the quarterly planning sessions, it was just 3 partners and Andy. And now we keep inviting more and more people to the party because they get more out of it. And just like they were saying, if they're able to play a part in setting their own goals and they take ownership of that, we don't have to tell them what to do on a daily basis.
We're about 90 people. We don't have the entire company in one huddle. It's just too much. So we have, everybody does, however, participate in a daily huddle. Some 2, no more than 3.
What I think will be interesting is if you did one team, how that team begins to go, you're dealing with that?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought that was taken care of.
Yeah.
Hiccup. Let's work it out. It's funny how when I start understanding somebody else, the world becomes a smaller place and I can support you in your success so you can get it over here and we get over there.
Could not imagine running a company without something like this. It will cut the amount of time that you're trying to figure out what people are doing. Your accountability of every single, we've gotten to a point right now where every single line item on our P&L is assigned to someone. They're responsible. Some people are responsible for more than others. But literally, gas. Just literally every line item, there's someone that's watching that. So it gives you the ability to basically work on your business.
We put this process in at work, but when you realize you're a better person outside of work, because you realize I'm not going to put my family as a second rock. They're going to be a first rock. And so when I catch myself making excuses of why I'm not doing this or that, you begin to, let's get our priorities and let's deliver.
Seriously, it's changed my entire mindset and made me, just as a person, incredibly more productive.
When we started, it was myself and my partner. I was mostly responsible for sales. He was mostly responsible for operations. And my role and my responsibility has changed significantly over the past 15 years. And I've struggled with what that was. I've struggled with letting go of things that I used to do. And I feel like this has given me a better understanding of what my job is today. That I actually have KPIs that I know that I'm focusing on, that I have agreed to, the company has agreed to, about what's most important. Because before, I was being the salesperson, or I was being the sales manager, or I was the technology consultant. I was, and today I've got people that are doing that, and I've had a hard time letting go and trusting that they're doing a job. Now I see that they're not only doing my job, but they're doing better than what I did. They're being held accountable to agreed upon KPIs, and I also know better what my job is. And it's not perfect. I don't think anybody in here on this panel would tell you that we're going to go back and everything runs as smooth as glass. We still have bumps and struggles, and we're still perfecting it, and see it taking several more years before we have it running very, very, very smooth. But it's made, we've come a long ways, and it's made a huge impact in our organization for sure. We took 2 days, just our executive team, and we didn't have, for the first 13 and a half years, we didn't have, a purpose, core values, mission statement. So we worked with someone, just with the executive team. We really got those down somewhat, and then Andy, as we started the process with him, he helped us refine those. Same kind of things, JT. We had all this very polished, almost kind of marketing schmuck stuff that was just, you'd put on your website or on marketing brochures. It wasn't real. It didn't represent who we are. But we kind of took what was important out of that and put it in our terms. And Andy helped us with that. He was like, look, this is not you guys, right? This is heart to heart. Who are you guys? Who represents the core of who you are? So he helped us refine it. We just started our huddles. We just dove right in and we said we're going to do it. Initially, we were only doing huddles 3 days a week, and then Andy was like, no, that didn't work. 5 days a week. And we're like, oh my gosh, 5 days a week. So we got that in place pretty quick. I think I remember somewhere it's 21 days to make a habit. So pretty quickly, we started putting these things into practice. But again, now we've been doing it almost a full year. little more, but almost a full year, just directly with Andy. And it's an ongoing process. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So I think it's going to take us a few more years before we'll really have it under our own control.
That's not to say it's not a part of our everyday business.
Right. That's right.
We, by no means have we perfected it. But I would say within a few months, we were all speaking the same language. We all were relying on the one-page plan. Once we got most of our team members on board with the huddle and everything, it was part of our day-to-day.
I will say that I like Andy's approach. He tries to put himself out of a job, and he's doing that with our firm. He's trying to teach us the skills needed to do it, but there's so much to learn. We're not walking away from Andy because that's what's making a difference. His role is diminishing some, and he's showing us, here's what you've got to be doing, but we're not going to eliminate it yet. After the first year, the way the timing of our annual evaluations ran, I've got about 5-6 people, direct reports. Every one of them thanked us. That's the best thing you've ever done. It's like, well, what in particular? I know what the expectations are, and I know how to meet them. And as I looked back and I thought, yeah, that's 6 months ago, you were kind of struggling with this. And it's like, man, they've really bought in, and they're thanking us for holding them as partners accountable.
To echo again what Trent said, same thing. I've had personal handwritten thank you cards from individuals. Our executive leadership team come to me one-on-one and said, I know this is not easy. We questioned it. Thank you so much for doing this, for making this happen, because it's made a difference. We've had other employees. We had someone recently tell us, she said, when I'm working in my department on a day-to-day basis, I know what my job is when I get to work every day. But I really don't know what we as a company are doing. What are we focused on? Where are we going? How are we getting there? And today, I feel like I understand that. I understand what impact my role plays not only in my department, but also throughout the rest of the company. And I get to learn also, for instance, we have operations and we have sales. We always have these battles between sales and operations, and through this process, which I think is fairly typical, but through this process, they've identified and said, we've got us a better understanding of some of the struggles and things that the sales guys, by having transparency through their KPIs that they're working towards, they're not just out on the golf course and buying beers and drinks for happy hour. They have things that they're having to work with. So it's been embraced and greatly appreciated.